Welcome into our In the Money podcast for KeenelandSelect.com. I'm Tom Leach, along with Keeneland's Director of Simulcasting, Jim Goodman, who, if you were listening last week, gave you Bradster at a nice price in the race down at Gulfstream Park. I had Untappable, who was a very impressive winner down at the fairgrounds, and we both had Only for You. It's outstanding filly for Todd Pletcher, but as you said, Jim, you can't crow about picking a 1-2 shot.
Nah, that's not going on a limb enough. That's an easy one.
Let's see. We have another round of Derby future wagers this weekend, right?
We do, and they actually started Thursday, and they continue until about 4 o'clock on Saturday. They've changed that, and I had a lot of people the last time complaining because they used to run it till Sunday, but now they're running it until whatever prep races run on Saturday. So if you're going to place your Derby wagers, make sure you get on your Keeneland Select account or come out to Keeneland prior to Saturday afternoon, because I think they cut it off before the Gotham, I guess. I'm not sure, but
yeah.
I know it's Saturday afternoon before any Derby preps are run, so you got to get them in before that.
We were on a basketball road trip, and I got on my Keeneland Select account and was able to play Candy Boy just before he won, and got him at like 32-1. So hoping for big things there. So you can.
They also have the Oaks this weekend too. This
is
the only Oaks future pool, and you can bet win and exacta. So that's interesting. And those pools are fairly small in the Oaks. So if you like somebody in the Oaks, probably not a bad opportunity to get somebody at 25 or 30-1.
Absolutely. Well, let's get to our weekend stakes races. 3 stakes at Aqueduct, headlined by the Gotham. We'll get to that in a moment. But the 4th race on the cards, the Grade 3 Tom Fool for sprinters, 3-year-olds and up, and like the next race we're going to talk about, small fields, so not great betting opportunities. Who did you land on in the Tom Fool?
Well, I'm guessing that Strapping Groom is going to be ready. They scratched him out of the race that most of these horses are coming out of, the toboggan, and I don't really know what the reason was. Maybe there wasn't a track issue that day, but he scratched out. He's got the best buyers. He's got probably the best back class, so I'm going to say that he's ready. The other horses coming out of that race are Candyman E, Dad's Caps, and Nonstop. And of those 3, I'm going to think Nonstop might get the best price. And if you looked at the race, if you go back and watch the toboggan on February 1st, he lunged and brushed at the start. That's what it says in the racing form. And I watched the head-on, and he did have some trouble at the start, which cost him a couple of links. So if you take him, you may get a better price. He was 22-1 that day. He finished 3rd to Candyman E and Dad's Cap. So I'm going to take him as a price below Strapping Groom in an exacta box. I
took Candyman E in here. I didn't like the rail draw for Strapping Groom, and I thought maybe Candyman E could just sit right off his stablemate, and he's in best form of his life, so if he's ever going to be able to beat him, this would be the time. So Candyman E for me, and then Strapping Groom, and Saturday's Charms, a nice sprinter for Asmussen that I'll throw in there in the 3rd hole, but Candyman E will be the key one for me. 8th race is the Grade 2 Top Flight Handicap, fillies and mares 3 and up at a mile and a 16th. And I came to Teen Pauline in here. I saw this filly win in her maiden debut at Saratoga back in 2012, and she had like a 92 buyer, looked like she was going to be a big thing, and then never really followed up on that. And they tried her on the grass a little bit. She had a win or 2 there. And it looks like these last 2 races, maybe Pletcher has figured out whatever needed figuring out to get her back to where it looked like she was headed in the summer of 2012. And she's 2 for 2 at Aqueduct, and I think she's the controlling speed and just career best form. So I'm going to take Teen Pauline over Centering and Summer Applause in another small field. What about you?
Yeah, I think when I wrote my notes on this one last night, I wrote current form versus class, because the class of the race is Summer Applause. She comes out of the fillies and mares sprint last year, and she ran behind Groupie Doll, didn't embarrass herself, went back and watched that race, and she kind of closed at the end. She actually made up a little bit of ground on Groupie Doll and Judy the Beauty, and if you're looking at that as a 7-furlong race, and this is a mile and a 16th, I think she fits very well here. And Teen Pauline loves Aqueduct Intertrack, 2 for 2. So Teen Pauline, the 2-horse, Summer Applause, the 4. I'm going to do a cold exacta. Summer Applause over Teen Pauline, maybe a $20 exacta. Cold. It might be $8 or $10 or something like that.
A lot of times that's the best way to find some value rather than trying to bet straight win in a small field is if you can be right on the exacta. You get a horse that you might get even money or less on straight, and if you feel confident about an exacta, you can turn that into $8, $10, $12 payoff. The 9th race, the Grade 3 Gotham. It's a Derby prep for 3-year-olds at a mile and a 16th. And this is a nice field. You get 11 scheduled to go, depending on the weather, and looks like a pretty well matched group. You've got horses that like the horse on the inside, In Trouble, was really impressive last year, but hasn't stretched out. You got a couple of Pletcher shippers and a couple of horses there that have been stars on the New York circuit. Where did you go here?
Well, the two horses that ran in the Withers, 1-2 all the way around, Samrat and Uncle Si, the 1A and the 4. I look at this race, and it looks like they could hook up again. And in that race, it appeared that the horses behind them had a real shot. And similar to the Swale last weekend at Gulfstream, those horses just didn't back up. And that didn't happen in the Withers. They ran 1-2 all the way around, and Samrat just set off Uncle Si. And I think he's got the ability to do that again. I don't see any great closers in the race, but I do think they could hook up again. Samrat could put him away, and I'm going to play Harpoon on the outside. I don't like the 10-hole, but coming out of the Sam Davis, he just got beat by nose. He was closing at the end in a mile and 16, so he's already got the experience. Pletcher will have him ready, and I'm going to take an exacta box with Samrat, and you get the other one to as they both go Noble Cornerstone, which is Wesley Ward trainee. Maybe may surprise the people who didn't run very well in Sam Davis, but actually went off as the favorite. So I'm going to take the 110 exacta box with Harpoon closing to get a piece. I really like Samrat better. The other horse that I like at maybe a price is Financial Mogul, the 3 horse.
Let me go back here quickly to the 4th race. The numbers for me: Candyman E, the 2, and then over 1 and 3, and then the 8th race, Teen Pauline is the 2 over the 3 and the 4 in that race. The Gotham for me, I ended up coming to Uncle Si. Didn't pick him last time, but the thing that jumped off the page to me on this one was Corey Nakatani comes in to ride this horse, and I thought that was certainly a notable upgrade. And he had to go to the lead last time. I don't think he'll have to do that here, and so he might like that a little better. And because he lost to Samrat last time, you might get a little better price on Uncle Si. So the 4, Uncle Si for me, and I think Samrat, the 1A, got to use with him. In Trouble, the 2 on the inside, horse that I think probably makes the lead, coming off a layoff, and has not been beyond 6 furlongs, but those 2 6-furlong races last year were very impressive. And this could be one of those horses that's just that good, and so he's dangerous. So I would certainly have to flip the exactas, but In Trouble is one to take a look at, and then Harpoon would be the other one. So 4 over 1, 2, and 10 for me, and keying in on Uncle Si and exactas with those other 3. The other horse, the 5 horse for Pletcher, coming up from Florida, I think merits a look. I just don't know if he's quite good enough, but more favorably drawn than the other Pletcher in there. Let's go to Gulfstream Park. 9th race is a sort of a Derby prep, 7 furlong Swale Stakes, Grade 2 for 3-year-olds. And you've got Havana making his debut, along with No Nay Never, who was really impressive here at Keeneland last year. Where did you go in the Swale?
Yeah, that reminds me. I think I called the Fountain of Youth the Swale a few minutes ago when I made the comment. I meant the Fountain of Youth. The 1-2 horses there went all the way around. So now we're going to run the Swale this Saturday, not last Saturday. Havana, the number 1 horse, is going to be the overwhelming favorite off the Champagne win in the second one juvenile, but it's first back since November the 2nd. I'm really intrigued by the 3 horse Wesley Ward's No Nay Never. A horse broke its maiden here at Keeneland last year, and those horses broke its maiden over Solitary Ranger. He had 3 other horses in that race that came back and won. Then Wesley ships them over to Great Britain and wins at Ascot and won in France. The horse has won $368,000 in 3 races, and it's been off since August, but the speed ratings over there, the Racing Post ratings was 117 on that race in France. You're coming from turf back to dirt. The horse broke its maiden on Polytrack. Maybe this is a wise Dan in the making. I don't know. I'm going to take a shot here with No Nay Never. I'm going to think Havana is going to need a race, and he's going to be way, way over bet. I think he's going to go off at 2-5 in this spot. So I'm going to take No Nay Never on top, and I'm just going to play him to win, hoping to get 3-1, 4-1, something like that.
I did not like the 1 hole in a 7 furlong race off that layoff for Havana either. I think he's vulnerable at a low price. I ended up just taking a little bit of a wild swing on the 5. And the reason I thought if Havana and No Nay Never were to hook up, Maybe the 5. I'd look for somebody who could take advantage of a speed duel, and I thought the 5-horse Spot. His best race was the first time he tried dirt last fall up at Hawthorne, and he's been switched to Zito since his last start, which was his 3-year-old debut there at Gulfstream, and he's had 2 really good works. And Zito's horses typically don't throw a lot of bullets in the morning, so but the works were noteworthy. And just going to take a chance on Spot, and certainly that's the 5-horse. I would box him 5-1 and 5-3 with the 2 likely horses, and if he gets second, maybe that gives you a decent exacta. But I thought he was an intriguing one to me. The 10th race is the Grade 3 Palm Beach Stakes on the turf, and you've seen horses come out of this race to come back in the Toyota Bluegrass Stakes in April, so keep an eye on that. And a guy who's done that route twice is Dale Romans, and I picked his horse in here, Smart Cover. He's used this race successfully before. He puts his go-to rider, Corey Lannery, on this horse, and just missed in a graded stake at Grade 3 at Churchill late last summer. Good finisher, which is a good thing to be on turf. So I'm going to try Smart Cover, the 7, and use him in exacta boxes with the 2 Chad Brown trainees, the 4 Pluven and the 1 Storming Inti. What about you?
I like Chad Brown. Pluven finished well on the Dania Beach, and he stretches out to 1.8 miles. I like your horse, too, Smart Cover. If you remember that, he just missed in the Iroquois, but his stablemate beat him and had like a $500 exacta for Donegal Racing and Dale Romans, and they all had it. It should have paid $1,000, and they all had the exacta. They went 1-2, and Claiborne, who came out of that race, wound up running in the Breeders' Cup, I think. So I like that horse, and that horse probably fits here, but Chad Brown on the turf with a prep race here, and the horse won a couple of races in France, so I'm going to take Pluven on top. I also like Stormin' Inti, the 1 horse, Chad Brown's other. I think it could be a Chad Brown exacta. The other horse that I like was Can't Help Believing. I never tossed Graham Motion at Gulfstream, and Garcia and Motion are 30%. So Can't Help Believing is hung outside, and that's a good jockey trainer percentage, and so I'm going to take Pluven on top. I'm going to play a little trifecta with Stormin' Inti, Can't Help Believing, and Smart Cover underneath with all, and that might cost you around $27, something like that, for a $1 try.
Let's go to Santa Anita for the Grade 3 Santa Ysabel. It's their 8th race, and this is 3-year-old fillies, so you mentioned it's an Oaks Futures weekend. You could see an Oaks filly or 2 come out of this. Mile and a 16th, Baffert's Awesome Baby, I'm guessing, goes favorite here. Where did you go in this race?
Yeah, and I try to beat Bob Baffert all the time. I don't know why I do that. Swiss Lake Yodeler is my pick here, the 4-horse for Bejarano and Jerry Hollendorfer. Did not take to the turf at all last out in the Cal Cup. Oaks just kind of went around the track, went 5 wide, nothing there, and got beat by Anniversary Kitty. This race is on the dirt, and this horse ran very well on the dirt at Santa Anita last year. He's 1 for 2 with a second at Santa Anita on the dirt. So I like Swiss Lake Yodeler. That's very difficult to say. The 4-horse on top. And he could be the longer price of the 2 Hollendorfer horses, because Hollendorfer also has Artemis, and he goes to Gary Stevens on that. So I'm going to take him underneath. Anniversary Kitty had a wide trip in the Cal Cup Oaks, and tries dirt for the first time. I think she fits. I think she's obviously they're going to try to get her to the Oaks off this, and I think she fits well. But I'm going to take Swiss Lake Yodeler on top in a trifecta with 4 over 1-2 with all.
I took the other Hollendorfer, Artemis, that you mentioned, the 1-horse. I like the angle of adding blinkers and the switch to Gary Stevens. I think those are a couple of certainly notable changes for this horse. Well drawn down there on the inside, and has had 3 really good works for Hollendorfer since that race 1 month ago today, or 1 month ago Saturday. So Artemis for me. Then over Awesome Baby, the 3, the 7, Be Proud, and the 4, Swiss Lake Yodeler. Key Artemis and in exactas with those other 3. So that's $6 with Artemis on top, and then $6 with Artemis on the bottom of those 3. And I think that's interesting for a fairly small field. Interesting betting race. I don't think there's any real standout in there. So some good racing this weekend as we're getting closer to the Keeneland Spring Meet and obviously the Kentucky Derby. Again, Derby future wagering for the Oaks and the Derby this weekend, and you can make those wagers through KeenelandSelect.com as well as on track through Keeneland Simulcasting. Best of luck on all your wagers. We'll be back here next week for some more stakes handicapping on the In the Money podcast for KeenelandSelect.com.